I grew up in the 1960s watching those TV commercials with those starving kids in Africa who stared vacantly at a camera with sad eyes and distended bellies. In the sixth grade, my Glee Club teacher, Mr. Collins, had changed the words in the song we were singing. 3 billion people in the world. 4 billion people in the world. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that the population was so big. And was even more shocked because no one else in the class seemed at all disturbed by this fact. A couple of days later, I told my friend Susie Hollander because there seemed to be too many people in the world for it to handle that we wasn't gonna have any kids. And she looked at me and she replied that she was gonna have three. And I felt pretty alone in my beliefs. And 30 years later, I still feel pretty alone in my beliefs and still shocked that not more people are disturbed by the population growth. And I think it's because as a species, we've decided not to talk about it and to tuck it away. So I'm here to untuck it. Modern man first showed up on Earth 200,000 years ago, and by 1850 we had reproduced successfully, and there were 1 billion people on the planet. This means it took 200,000 years for us to put the first billion people on Earth. The next billion came in 100 years. 200 years to get to the first billion, 100 years to get to the second billion, and we add 1 billion people to the planet every 12 years. And in 2011, the world population reached 7 billion people. And now the surge in growth came about because of the improvements in agriculture and medicines. Because as a species, we are biological success story. Survival of fittest, we have survived. And we also are a religious success story, and we have grown forth and multiplied. And for now, we have to stop, or it will be our downfall. But just to give you an idea of how fast population grows, Bangladesh had a hurricane that killed 139,000 people. How long did it take Bangladesh to replace those deaths with 139,000 new births? 2.5 weeks. And now the population is just growing at just 1% a year, which might not sound very much, but 1% of 7 billion is actually a big number. It means every day we add 220,000 people to the planet. Every day. And this is unsustainable. Which means that at some point the poor population is gonna stop growing. The question is how? Will it stop growing because of famine, disease, or war over resources? Will it stop growing because of people choose to have smaller families? And by the smaller families, it means a one-tribe families. This is where people start getting nervous talking about the overpopulations and population issues because they're scared that I'm going to take away their rights to have children, but I don't want to take their rights away. I want to give people rights. Forcing people to have fewer children does not work. In fact, the fastest and the most efficient way to stabilize the world population is to send girls to school and empower women, and to give everyone access to an education on birth control. And those are good things. And as a culture, we need to emphasize the benefits of having one child family, so people will choose to have fewer kids because for thousands of years we have been inculcated with this ethic that big families are happy families and only children are lonely children. Couples like myself and my husband Ian, who have chosen not to have kids, were childless instead of child-free. And myself, several times, I have been accused of being selfish because of my decision not to have children. And all this makes sense when it was important for us to procreate our survivals. But now, for our survival, we have to not procreate. And we have to change and rewire our biology and our culture to recognize the benefits of a one child family because right now, mostly what we see is negatives. For example, when a country's population falls, there's all economic doom and gloom in the media because capitalism is based on internal growth. Capitalism depends upon more and more consumers, and when population lowers, the economy will suffer, but it will suffer less. That if there's no more oil for food and water, because there are 10 billion people on this planet in 40 years, which is what the UN is projecting. Now you might be thinking, okay, this population issue sounds troublesome, but we should be having babies. And we smart and we educated and we listen to TED Talks and we can afford kids and hate our offspring that may save the world. And even my mom says, "Oh, Alessandra, you're such a good mother, and your kids, they would make wonderful, and they may be wonderful, but it would also be wasteful because no, North Americans use 32 times the resources as someone from a developing country. So it's even more important that we have smaller families. For example, someone in the United States on average uses 176 gallons of water a day, compared to the average person from Africa who only use 5 gallons a day. It's not just about this poor country either. We're here in the United States, we use twice the energies as someone from French, England, or Japan. There's a lot of countries that have higher facility rate that we do here in the United States, but we have to aspire a one-child family, especially those of us living here. Maybe you're thinking, well, don't worry, Alessandra, technology will save us. Yes, it's possible that we run maybe to a few more years of resources because of some new inventions or technologies. But in the end, even if we can feed our house of uh, 14 billion people, that would their lives be like? And the population is going to have a stop growing at some point. So why not stop now instead of wishing that invention technology will save us that doesn't even exist yet and we're not even sure works? So for everyone to have quality of life, the number of humans on Earth needs to go down. And I believe that it needs to go down to 2 billion people, which sounds radical because there are 7 billion people on this planet today. It's actually the world population of just 80 years ago. So let's change our idea of what an ideal family looks like. One is a beautiful number, so let's not be afraid of talk about overpopulation. It's just not about taking rights people away from people. It's about giving opportunities to women, children, and further generations. And lastly, let's be part of the solutions and choose from now on to bring forth more than once a choice of self. Thank you.